Hello and welcome back to another episode of Boys Gone Wild. It's good to be back. It's good to be back. I think another reason why I took a big break, well, still not a big break, I don't know what I'm talking about, is because I thought when Boris Johnson said he was going to have a speech detailing the progress of lockdown, I thought it was going to be basically that there's going to be any sort of information of lockdown ending. But when he had the fucking speech, he did that really cheeky thing of basically saying, right, you know all the laws you guys have been breaking, well, you're allowed to do those now. Like when he was like, you guys are allowed unlimited exercise, it's like no one's been doing just one exercise a day anyway. So, fair play to him though. I'm not going to talk too much about it because it's tedious. But the one thing I will say is that whenever Bojo says we're following the science, that's fucking bullshit. You can't follow the science. People, there's trusting experts and medical professionals and scientists like that, but people keep conflating the two. Yes, scientists and doctors are important, but they're not politicians. And politics and science are different things. Science, there are facts that you can't dispute, but what you do with those facts and what you value is politics. So there's no numbers or graphs or anything show political values. So it's not about the science. There's lots of people getting experts saying we should do this and that and this. It's still like, that doesn't mean that they have complete and utter unquestioning choice in what we should do, because there's facts and then there's what you do with facts.
That's all I'll fucking say on the matter.
I asked quite an interesting question to my girlfriend on FaceTime yesterday. And I think if you guys have a significant other, I think it's worth. Philosophically, it's quite an interesting conundrum. So I think you should ask your significant other as well. I said to her, "Would you still be in a relationship with me if I was the same person as I am now, but my laugh was gah 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 gah?" So everything's exactly the same about me. I'm still the same person in every single way. But whenever I laugh, I go, gah, 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 gah. And I don't ever act like it's weird or apologise for it. And she said she would probably last about another month and then break up with me. Which is interesting because we're in a fairly committed relationship. And it's interesting how we're still at that stage where we haven't found any real major problems with each other. And there's no reason for the relationship to end. It's interesting that feeling the way she does about me, just me having an annoying laugh would flip that all on its head. It's just interesting to know that no matter how much someone can love you, if you laugh like, gah, 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 then it's over. It's just an interesting. I wonder if it'd be different if I got in an accident, so like a car crash, and when I came out of hospital I was the exact same, but part of me smacking my head gave me a brain damage that meant I was exactly the same, apart from when I laughed I go gah, 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 gah. I wonder if that would add a different element to it. But these are the kind of questions I've been considering a lot. Like I also had another friend who has been like texting this girl during lockdown, and he knew the girl before lockdown, and I asked him the question, what would your reaction be if you'd been texting someone over lockdown, and then when lockdown finishes and you finally meet, they are 450 pounds heavier than they were before? And this isn't fat shaming, I'm not saying that she's like a bit curvy or add a bit of weight. I'm saying like wheelchair fat. like she weighs 4 times as much as she did before. And this really isn't like a go at fat shaming. It's more about being deceptive. Because what would you do if you had been speaking to someone who they were just fairly normal, just fairly skinny, and then in the 6 weeks you never saw them in person? When you did, they weighed 450 pounds, so like over morbidly obese. They get wheeled in, and then they act like nothing's wrong. How would you play it? Because if they don't speak about it, if they don't make any notice about the fact that they weigh 4 times more than they did before, then it's incredible. What can you do without sounding like a dick? You can't bring it up. And my friend said that he would keep on the flirty banter. He'd try and keep the date as normal as possible, but then never speak to them again. And I think that's fair. I think that's definitely a fair move. But today we're going to be talking about a boy gone wild who I think epitomizes a lot of what this podcast stands for. And certainly over the break, I've had a huge reflection over what this podcast is about. And what I was thinking about Boys Gone Wild is because I was trying to find out what really inspired me to do this podcast was that I think boys are inherently ridiculous things. People. Every boy I've ever met is inherently ridiculous. There's something about the pressures of manhood mean that every man is dumb as shit. Do you know what I mean? Like every man I've ever met is an idiot. Even Stephen Hawking, even people who are celebrated geniuses, because they're boys, they're just inherently dumb as fuck. Genghis Khan, the greatest conqueror who's ever lived, he's an idiot. There's something ridiculous about him. I think there's just something inherently ridiculous about all boys, and that's kind of what this podcast is about. And it came from speaking with my girlfriend, who said that every boy she's ever met is the most ridiculous person she's ever met, and that really stuck with me. And I think a lot of these tenets can be shown in the internet video Leeroy Jenkins, which is about a congregation of men on World of Warcraft, already hysterical. Men playing fantasy games. Epitomizes a boy gone wild. And the video is a piece of internet history because it's from 2004, so right in the early stages of the internet. And it's one of the longest lasting memes, and it's constantly mentioned throughout pop culture and has really transcended the gaming community from where it started. And basically, if you don't know what the video is, it's about a 2.5 minute video about this clan amassing outside a dungeon in World of Warcraft.
Hey, well, what we'll do, I'll run in first, gather up all the eggs so we can kind of just, blast them all down with AoE. I will use Intimidating Shout to kind of scatter them so we don't have to fight a whole bunch of them at once. When my shout's done, I'll need Anthony to come in and drop his shout too, so we can keep them scattered and not have to fight too many.
In World of Warcraft, you have these sort of dungeons filled with incredibly difficult monsters. To defeat them, you can only do it if you have a well-coordinated team with other clan members. So there's about 15 of the nerdiest boys all congregated outside of this clan, and it spends like at least 2 minutes of the video discussing how they're going to defeat these demons, including one of the greatest lines in internet history, which is, I'm just going to do a number crunch real quick. 32.3. Repeating, of course.
I think it's a pretty good plan. We should be able to pull it off this time. What do you think, Abdul? Can you give me a number crunch real quick?
Yeah, give me a sec. I'm coming up with 32.33, repeating, of course, percentage of survival.
Repeating, of course, is something that I say to myself often, because in that little nugget represents what is inherently hysterical about all boys. Well, it's one aspect of what's hysterical about boys, is repeating, of course, in relation to a decimal point. There's something I've never truly been able to crystallize what it is this podcast is trying to say, but I feel in the video Leroy Jenkins, it's somewhere in that video. The people who appear in that video are a through line through all the boys who have gone wild in this whole series, from Friedrich Nietzsche, Genghis Khan, Greg Wallace, Ben Stokes, Coney 2012. There is part of all boys exist in this video. So they're all gathered around this clan and they're spending like way too long discussing their plan. It's an incredibly complex plan, with just talking with such sincerity. And this is part of what makes boys all ridiculous, is this sort of sincerity, and I find the kind of ambition and the failure to achieve what the pressures you have. There's something just so stupid about boys. I can't quite put my finger on it. And then right before they go in, Leroy Jenkins steps up and declares one of the most iconic lines in internet history. He shouts,
We do.
All right, chums up.
Ready, guys?
Let's do this. Leroy Jenkins!
Oh my god, he just ran in. Save him!
Oh, geez, stick it clean.
Oh Jesus, let's go.
and just runs straight in there. Forgets the plan, throws it out the window, and runs straight to fight the demons. And then the whole group is congregating, having no idea what to do. Did he just go in there? And that sort of energy of reckless abandonment contrasted with the excessive, obsessive, nerdy planning shows the kind of two sides of a boy gone wild. Leroy Jenkins and 32.3, repeating, of course, those two boys summarize two of the key, the yin and yang of Boys Gone Wild. And that's why this video is such a perfect time capsule to really understand a boy gone wild. He runs in there, the whole group panics, they all run in, and they get utterly obliterated.
I can't move. Am I lagging, guys? I can't move. What the hell? I can't hear you. Oh my god.
It's one of the longest lasting memes of all time, and I think it's because it tells it's like Hamlet, like in the way that great work, the Iliad, great works of fiction, great works of art hold. If we had, we're sending a capsule to send to a new species with all the greatest works. You'd put Shakespeare, you'd put Picasso, you'd put Mozart, and you'd put Leroy Jenkins.
Ready, guys?
Let's do this. Leroy Jenkins!
Oh my god, he just ran in.
So yeah, in conclusion, we come to the end of this episode, which turned into more a video essay describing the now seemingly work of fiction, that is Leroy Jenkins, as being the perfect case study of a boy gone wild, or boys gone wild. But yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. And remember, think big, work smart.
I'm trying.
Not my fault!
Who's Soulstone?
We do have a soul stone up, don't we?
Hey, you got Soulstone? Warm up. Oh god.
Oh, for...
Great job,
What's
guys.
up?
For Christ's sake. Leroy, you were just stupid as hell.